Imagine, just for a second, the story of Noah's Ark.
Right.
I know, everyone has that exact same image locked right in their head. It's practically the first story you learn as a kid. You know, the nursery rhyme version.
A little wooden boat.
Yeah, the big wooden boat, the giraffes poking their long necks out of the roof, elephants somehow balancing on the deck, and just this endless ocean.
The dove with the olive branch.
Exactly. It's one of the most famous, most comforting images in human history. But what if I told you that that image is just completely wrong?
And not just a little bit wrong.
Right, not just a little wrong, but fundamentally, geographically and physically wrong.
It is definitely a provocative way to start a deep dive, to say the least.
Yes.
What if the Ark wasn't a boat floating on water at all?
Which sounds crazy.
It does, but what if the vessel of salvation was actually a city? A massive fortress designed to withstand a total cataclysm, anchored firmly to the ground.
A city that is a ship. That is the really mind-bending premise we are exploring today.
It is a total paradigm shift.
We are looking at a radical reengineering of history, of geography, theology, everything. And we are diving deep into the research of Dr. Khaled Waleed.
Yes, and we really need to be very specific about our source today for everyone listening.
Absolutely.
Everything we are discussing today, every single linguistic twist and geographical shift, comes entirely from Dr. Waleed's research on his channel, The Almighty Covenant.
Or Mithaq al-Khaliq on YouTube.
Correct. We are just here to impartially unpack his thesis.
We aren't riffing or making this up. We are laying out his exact arguments. And I have to say, his thesis is heavy.
It is incredibly heavy. Dr. Waleed proposes a complete reconstruction of Quranic history. His central argument is that, well, that magic, or what we might call mythical fairy tale interpretations, has completely blinded us.
The magic wand approach to history?
Exactly. He argues that historical distortions, which his research attributes largely to specific Israelite influences on the narrative over many centuries, have obscured the true geography of the prophets.
So we're essentially peeling back the layers of tradition here. We're taking the magic out of the story and replacing it with a blueprint.
We are. And the biggest layer to peel back, the one that honestly changes everything you think you know, is the map itself.
The map.
Right. Dr. Waleed argues that the events people traditionally place in Mecca, or maybe over in Turkey, actually happened in Jerusalem, or Baka, and the surrounding Palestinian territories.
That is just a massive shift. I mean, we're picking up the entire stage of these ancient dramas and moving it.
Yes.
I have to say, when I first looked at Dr. Waleed's notes, I was fully expecting a traditional religious discussion. But as I kept reading, it felt more like I was looking at civil engineering documents.
Infrastructure planning.
Yes, it felt like advanced infrastructure planning.
That is actually the perfect way to describe it. Dr. Waleed doesn't look at these texts as folklore at all. He looks at them as technical manuals.
Technical manuals.
He's decoding the bayan, which is the clear, evident explanation hidden in the Arabic language itself. And when you strip away the magic, you're left with high-tech infrastructure, advanced water management systems, and a survival machine that has been sitting in plain sight for thousands of years.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if the Ark isn't a boat, we need to completely redefine what we're even looking at.
We do. And it starts with a really fascinating linguistic detective story.
Where do we begin?
Dr. Waleed points out two Arabic words that are often used interchangeably in standard translations, but he argues they are fundamentally different in meaning. Those words are al-fulk and as-safina.
Right, because usually if you open any standard translation, both of those are just translated as ship or vessel.
Correct. They are treated as synonyms. But Dr. Waleed makes a critical structural distinction. Let's start with as-safina.
Okay.
In his theory, the safina, the ship, is not a vehicle. It is the city of Baka itself.
Meaning Jerusalem.
Meaning Jerusalem.
Its city is the ship.
The city is the ship. Think about the actual topography of Jerusalem for a second.
High up.
Exactly. It sits on these high plateaus, and it's surrounded by deep valleys. Dr. Waleed points to the concept of al-Bayt al-Atiq.
Which is usually translated as the ancient house, right?
Just ancient house.
Yeah.
But he digs into the linguistic root of that word, it-Q.
And linguistics is really the key to everything here.
Right.
What does a dikyu actually imply in this context?
The git-Q means to be exempted, to be freed, or to be saved. Like when a slave is manumitted in historical texts, they're described as a dik.
Agreed.
Yes. So according to Dr. Waleed, Jerusalem is the exempted city.
Exempted from what exactly?
Exempted from the drowning. Exempted from the massive destruction that consumed the lower lands. It is the safe city sitting high on the mountains.
Oh, I see.
It didn't need to float because its extreme elevation and its massive fortification were its buoyancy. It survived because of where it was built and how it was heavily reinforced.
That completely changes the mental image. It's not a boat bobbing on the waves. It's a fortress standing firm like an island while the waves just crash below it.
Exactly.
But wait, if the city is the ship, what about the landing? Because the traditional nursery rhyme story says the Ark rested on Mount Ararat in Turkey.
And this is where Dr. Waleed identifies what he calls a major historical manipulation. He argues that Ararat is a linguistic distortion,
The distortion.
a fabrication inserted over time to divert attention away from the true location. The Quran explicitly says the Ark settled on El-Judi.
And usually people try to find a mountain named Judy somewhere near Ararat to make the conventional geography work.
Right, they try to force the map to fit the myth. But Dr. Waleed connects Al-Judi linguistically to Judi al-Salam,
Judy al-Salam.
Jerusalem, the city of peace. The ship, meaning the city infrastructure, remained firm on the Judean mountains.
Well, the flood happened below.
Yes, the flood, or the Tufan, raged in the lower lands, specifically the Dead Sea Basin and the Jordan Valley.
You know, this actually makes a lot of geological sense when you look at a map. The Dead Sea is the lowest point on Earth.
It is the ultimate basin.
Right. If there's a catastrophic flood, that's the bowl that fills up first.
Exactly. So the water rises from the lowest point, the oven of the valley, completely swallowing everything in the lowlands. But the ship, Jerusalem, stays high and completely dry on the Judi.
So it's a story of topography and elevation, not just primitive boat building.
Precisely. But here is the catch that he addresses. If the city is the Safina, then what is the Fulk?
Right, because the texts explicitly mention Noah building the Fulk. You don't build a mountain.
Exactly, you don't build a mountain. So if the mountain city is the hull, what is Noah actually constructing with his tools?
What is he building?
This is the engineering breakdown that Dr. Waleed provides. If as-Safina is the hull, the city walls, the structure itself, the location, then al-Fulk refers to the mechanical systems of connection and control.
Systems. You mean like moving parts?
Think naval architecture applied to a land fortress. Dr. Waleed defines Fulk as the mechanism of connection.
Connection between what?
Between the high and the low.
Yeah.
These are the mechanical gates, the massive water locks, the transport vessels, and the heavy infrastructure connecting those dangerous lower lands, the oven of the Jordan Valley, all the way up to the safety of the heights of Jerusalem.
So when Noah is building the Fulk, he's not laying a keel for a wooden schooner. He's building floodgates.
Floodgates, massive hydraulic lifts, defensive barriers. Dr. Waleed highlights a very specific phrase, al-Fulk al-Mashun.
The standard translation for that is usually the laden ship.
Like a ship full of cargo.
Right.
But Dr. Waleed says, look closely at the word mashun. In modern Arabic, and in its deepest root sense, shan is used for charging.
Charging. Like a battery.
Like charging a phone or pressurizing a system. He interprets al-Fulk al-Mashun as mechanical gates that are charged or packed with incredible tension and energy.
Charged gates. I have to say, that sounds like pure sci-fi.
It sounds like it, but it's just high-tech defensive architecture. These are hydraulic or mechanical gates that open to allow trade and people in during times of peace, connecting the lowlands to the highlands.
But they can close?
They can slam shut and perfectly seal the city to protect the fortified castles of Jerusalem when the water rises or when enemies attack.
That sounds like something straight out of a steampunk novel. Giant mechanical gates protecting a mountain city.
It really does. And he points to the specific building materials mentioned in the text. Al-Wa wa dusur. Planks and nails.
Which, again, sounds very boat-like on the surface.
On the surface, yes. But Dr. Waleed argues these aren't just simple wooden boat siding. All are massive slabs or sections.
Direct panels.
Think of modern blast doors or heavy retaining walls. And dusur. These aren't just little carpentry nails. These are the heavy locking pins, the massive metal bolts, the industrial anchors used to secure these gigantic structures.
So he's describing the components of massive city gates and water locks. It's entirely industrial.
It is entirely industrial. He even connects the riding of the ship to the 12 gates of Jerusalem.
The 12 gates.
Yes. Noah built these 12 gates to fortify the city. According to Dr. Waleed, to ride the ship was to enter through these mechanical gates, pass safely through the Fulk systems, and get into the safety of the fortress.
This recontextualizes the whole historical narrative. It turns Noah from a zoologist with a wooden boat into a master civil engineer with a massive survival plan.
A naval architect taught by God, as Dr. Waleed puts it.
I really want to talk about the people involved here, because Dr. Waleed doesn't just re-engineer the boat. He completely reprofiles the prophets.
You guys.
Specifically, I want to look at Jonah or Yunus and Noah.
Yes, the profiles are fascinating. They stop being these distant, abstract, robe-wearing figures and become very real, very functional roles in a complex society. Let's start with Jonah.
The man in the whale.
Right. In the traditional telling, he's a preacher who gets fed up with his people, runs away, gets on a boat, and gets swallowed by a giant biological whale.
A total classic.
Dr. Waleed says, look closer at the economic context. Jonah wasn't just a preacher, he was a merchant. Specifically, he dealt in the thigh trade. Tijarat al-Hut.
The fish trade.
Yes, the fish trade. The geography is absolutely key here. Dr. Waleed notes from his research that the Red Sea and the Dead Sea were connected via the Gulf of Aqaba in ancient times, creating a massive, lucrative trade corridor.
Wow, okay.
Jonah operated heavily in this corridor. He was moving goods.
Okay, so he's a businessman, a logistics guy.
A major businessman operating between the sea and the major cities. Now, the story says he left his people Mughadaban, which means in anger.
Usually we think he was just mad they didn't listen to his religious sermons.
Dr. Waleed adds a layer of harsh economic realism. He suggests Jonah was facing a severe trade boycott.
A boycott.
Yes. The people in Petra, or Mecca, identified here in Dr. Waleed's geography as the east of the sea, refused to believe his message and refused to trade with him. They effectively squeezed him out of his own livelihood.
So he's facing bankruptcy and persecution simultaneously. He's being economically canceled by his own market.
Exactly. So he flees. The Arabic word used is abaka. He flees toward the ship.
But remember, the ship is Jerusalem.
Precisely. He heads toward the prosperous, highly advanced market of Jerusalem to recoup his massive financial losses. He's looking for a better market. He basically thinks, I can't make it out here in the east, I'll go to the big city.
He's going to Wall Street to start over.
Essentially, yes. He enters Al-Fulk al-Mashun, that charged, busy, heavily gated city. And the text says he cast lots or gambled. The word is sahama.
Sahama.
Dr. Waleed interprets this as Jonah taking a massive financial risk with his remaining capital. He speculated heavily in the Jerusalem market.
And I'm guessing, based on the traditional story, it didn't go well.
It was an absolute disaster. Dr. Waleed attributes his failure to the ruthless schemes of the locals, whom he identifies as the Israelites controlling the market dynamics at that specific time. Jonah was bitten. The whale, al-Hut. Dr. Waleed interprets the swallowing or biting, not necessarily as a biological marine animal eating him, but as the ruthless city itself, chewing him up and spitting him out.
That is a metaphor we literally still use today. You know, the city ate him alive. He's swimming with sharks.
Exactly the same concept. He was attacked, financially mugged, bitten by the sharks of the market. He lost absolutely everything.
Wow.
Dr. Waleed suggests he was left completely broke, physically beaten, and thrown out. He nearly drowned in the literal waters surrounding the port city before washing up on shore.
So the darkness of the whale.
The darkness of the whale's belly was the darkness of his deep despair and his destitute state in the bowels of the city's corruption.
That is incredibly noir. It makes the ancient story feel so modern and human. It's about economic struggle, intense corruption, and hitting rock bottom in a giant metropolis.
And it perfectly sets the stage for Noah. If Jonah shows us the deep corruption and danger of the city when it's ruled by greed, Noah shows us the construction of the city as a place of ultimate safety.
Right, getting back to the master engineer.
Noah's mission wasn't just to save a few pairs of animals. It was to fundamentally fortify Baka, Jerusalem, against a total environmental collapse.
The flood.
The flood wasn't just a random heavy rainstorm. The water rose rapidly from the tanur, the oven.
And Dr. Waleed identifies this oven as the geological low point, right?
Yes, the Dead Sea and Jordan Valley Rift. Imagine a massive geothermal event or an unprecedented rising in the water table where the earth literally boils over. The water surged violently from below.
And the salvation.
The salvation was simple, but required obedience. Get behind the massive gates, get into the folk, the mechanical systems, and ascend to the Safina, the high city.
So it was a choice.
It was. Those who refused the advanced technology, those who refused to enter the fortified city like Noah's own son, drowned.
Noah's son said, I will betake myself to a mountain that will save me from the water.
And Noah replied, there is no protector today except God. Dr. Waleed interprets this entire exchange as the son flat out refusing the specific engineered safety of the city. He fled to a different mountain.
Just a regular mountain.
A regular unfortified mountain, not the fortified Judea of Jerusalem. And without the naval architecture of the city walls and the complex water management systems, those other mountains simply weren't safe. The rising water swallowed them too.
It's a truly chilling image. You have this high-tech, heavily fortified city standing alone like an island, while the rest of the world dissolves into mud and water around it.
It is.
It emphasizes that salvation wasn't just about being on high ground. It was about being behind the engineered protection.
And that striking image of the city as an impenetrable fortress leads us to a really fascinating, almost spy thriller aspect of Dr. Waleed's theory.
Oh, I know where you're going. The story of Moses and the guide.
Yes. The mysterious guide who does things that seemingly make no sense, like damaging a perfectly good ship. This guide is usually identified as Kidder.
Right. In Surah Al-Kahf, the guide intentionally bores a hole in a ship to save it from a king who seizes every ship by force. Now, Dr. Waleed identifies this guide not as Kidder, but as Idris, or Enoch.
Yes, Idris.
Sabotaging the ship.
Sabotaging the critical infrastructure. Remember, the ship is Jerusalem. Dr. Waleed translates karaka, which is usually translated as scuttled or made a hole, as disabling the energy system or the sacred sensor, the mashar.
Wait, he cut the power line?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
He actively sabotaged the grid.
Why?
Well, the king in this story is an invading force, likely the Israelites or another aggressive ancient empire, who desperately wanted to capture Jerusalem because of its incredibly advanced technology and immense prosperity.
So if the city is fully functional, glowing with energy, perfectly paved roads, massive defensive gates, the king takes it. It's too valuable a prize to pass up.
Exactly. It's the ultimate prize.
Yeah.
But by boring a hole, meaning by breaking the crucial trade routes, disabling the city's glow, or sabotaging the heavy water locks, Idris intentionally made the city appear broken.
Invaluable.
Completely invaluable.
So he made it look like a fixer-upper that needs way too much work.
Precisely. The king looks at it and says, "This place is a wreck. The systems are totally down. It's just not worth the effort of a siege." He moves on.
Wow.
And thus, the city was saved for the poor, meaning the righteous inhabitants, to inherit and repair later in peace.
That is genuinely brilliant. It's strategic infrastructure denial. It's a literal scorched earth policy, but used entirely for preservation.
It explains the bizarre motive perfectly. Why damage something you love? To keep it from being stolen by a tyrant.
It makes total logical sense.
And Dr. Waleed connects this hole or defect to the idea that the core energy source of Jerusalem was deliberately hidden or put into a state of long-term dormancy.
Which brings us right to the energy source itself.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Waleed doesn't stop at ancient history with this theory.
No, he certainly does not.
He takes this theory all the way into the distant future, and this is where things get really cosmic.
Yes. This is the science fiction turn of his research, although Dr. Waleed would firmly argue it's just future reality. We have to talk about the rock. Azakra.
The Dome of the Rock. Literally one of the most photographed and fought over places on Earth.
Under the famous Golden Dome, to most of the world, it's a sacred stone, a historical shrine. To Dr. Waleed, it is the cockpit. The central propulsion engine. The cave inside the rock isn't just a hollow space for prayer. It's the main command room. He argues that the rock is the absolute source of immense energy and thrust for the entire city.
Wait. Thrust? Are we saying the city flies?
We are saying the city is designed to leave.
Leave the planet.
Yes. Dr. Waleed points directly to the verse, "You will surely ride layer upon layer, latarkabuna tabakan and tabak."
Layer upon layer. I've usually heard that interpreted metaphorically as stage after stage of life. You know, birth, death, resurrection.
Right. The traditional view is metaphorical. Dr. Waleed interprets layers literally as atmospheric layers or even physical dimensions.
Right.
The theory is that Jerusalem, the Safina, is a dormant, highly advanced spacecraft, a celestial ark, literally.
A spaceship.
It is fully designed to transport the faithful remnants from a dying Earth to the high heavens.
So Noah's Ark wasn't just built for the water flood thousands of years ago. It was a prototype, or maybe it's the exact same vessel just waiting for the final evacuation.
It's the ultimate survival capsule. Dr. Waleed describes the texts mentioning the gates of heaven opening with pouring water. He connects this imagery directly to the propulsion dynamics, the massive energy release needed to launch this gigantic city ship.
This gives a whole new literal meaning to the Holy Land. It's the launch pad.
It is the launch pad.
Yeah.
And it completely reinterprets the wall mentioned in Surah Al-Hadid.
What does that verse say?
The verse says, "A wall will be set up with a gate. Inside it is mercy. Outside it is torment."
Which is usually interpreted as a metaphorical wall separating people on Judgment Day.
Dr. Waleed sees it as the physical metallic hull of the ship. When the final countdown starts, the wall physically separates the passengers from the observers. Inside Baka, inside the hull, there is mercy, salvation, transport off-world. Outside, well, the planet is dying. The torment is the actual environmental and cosmic collapse of Earth itself.
That is deeply terrifying and strangely hopeful at the exact same time. It's like the ultimate lifeboat scenario.
And if you think about it, it explains perfectly why the geography is so intensely contested today. Why does everyone want this specific tiny patch of land?
Because it's the ship.
In Dr. Waleed's view, it's not just Holy Land. It's the only physical ticket off the rock. It's the engine room of salvation.
This really forces you to look at the religious rituals we see today completely differently. If the site is actually a dormant spaceship, what are the millions of people doing there?
That is the most crucial question of his entire thesis. Dr. Waleed argues that the rituals, the Hajj, the prayer, the standing, are actually technical procedures.
Technical procedures.
They have been preserved over millennia as religious rites, but their true origin is operational training for the ship.
Let's talk about Arafat, because if Jerusalem is the center, what is the standing at Arafat?
In traditional geography, Mount Arafat is down in Saudi Arabia, near Mecca. Dr. Waleed argues this is part of the massive illusion or the matrix created to distract people from the true site. He asserts the true Arafat is located in Palestine near Jerusalem. It's part of the Judi mountain range.
Okay, so we've moved the mountain back to Jerusalem. What happens on the mountain?
Standing. But Dr. Waleed asks, why stand? What is the actual function of standing there? He calls it a download of knowledge. Marifa.
Arafat and Marifa both relate to knowledge. I see the linguistic root connection there.
Exactly. Since the Ark settled on Judi, which he equates with true Arafat in Jerusalem, standing there is literally about connecting to the data and the covenant of the Ark.
Connecting to the data.
It's a proximity connection. You are physically standing on the deck of the ship, connecting your consciousness to the central server, which is the rock, and downloading the necessary spiritual and technical data for the coming journey.
It's like Wi-Fi. You have to be in range of the router.
A spiritual and technical Wi-Fi, yes. It is the literal platform of knowledge.
So the Hajj, in this entirely new worldview.
The Hajj is a rigorous training program for the final evacuation. It is about learning the naval architecture of salvation. It is physically connecting to the energy source.
What about the current Hajj?
Dr. Waleed is quite critical of the traditional Hajj currently performed in the desert of Mecca. He calls it an illusion of thirsty people.
An illusion?
He genuinely believes it was deliberately created to keep people far away from the true power source in Jerusalem.
He thinks it's a massive diversion.
A massive historical diversion tactic. While millions of people are walking in circles in the desert, the real ship is sitting completely dormant in Jerusalem, waiting for a crew that actually understands how to turn it on.
That is a very heavy claim. It suggests that millions of sincere people are essentially looking at a decoy.
That is the very core of his shift. He believes the magic of the traditional story keeps humanity asleep, while the engineering reality of Dr. Waleed's theory requires us to finally wake up and look at the map with completely fresh eyes.
It's so much to take in. I mean, we've gone from a simple wooden boat to a high-tech mechanical city, from a whale to a Wall Street market crash, and from a hill in Saudi Arabia to a literal space launch pad in Jerusalem.
It is a complete fundamental paradigm shift.
So if we zoom out for a minute, what's here? Why does this intense re-engineering matter for the listener today, according to Dr. Waleed?
It matters deeply because it changes the very definition of what a believer is. In this theory, a believer isn't just someone who passively recites a creed. A believer is someone who truly understands the system.
Someone who knows how to operate the gates.
Precisely. Noah built a fortified city using advanced engineering. The flood destroyed the lower lands, meaning the ignorant and the unprepared. The ship is now a dormant spaceship and city, waiting for the final countdown. The rituals are actual technical procedures. So what is ultimate survival?
It perfectly bridges the gap between science and faith in a way I have never heard before. Usually they are treated as complete opposites. Here they are exactly the same thing. The miracle is the technology.
And the technology is the mercy. Dr. Waleed emphasizes heavily that God teaches humans what they did not know. He taught Noah structural engineering. He taught David how to manipulate and forge iron. The path to salvation, in this specific view, is exclusively through knowledge. Ilm.
I keep thinking about those three specific words you mentioned earlier. Safina, sakina, sakina.
The linguistic web there is incredibly tight. Safina is the ship. Sakina is tranquility or security. Sakra is the rock.
Right.
Dr. Waleed argues these aren't just random phonetic rhymes. They're integral parts of a unified security system. The ship gives you total security because it is anchored and powered by the rock. It's a unified field theory of ancient safety.
And the real aha moment for me personally is really that word Atik, the freed house. We usually think of old as just dusty, ancient, forgotten. But freed implies a massive struggle. It implies it actively survived something that destroyed absolutely everything else.
It was uniquely exempted from the laws of destruction. And Dr. Waleed suggests, very strongly, that it will be exempted again.
When the next event happens.
Yes, when the next flood arrives, whether that's catastrophic environmental collapse, nuclear war, or a cosmic event, the freed house will be the only thing that successfully leaves.
It leaves you with a very specific, very haunting question. Dr. Waleed calls it the final call.
Yes. The ship is technically already boarding.
Boarding now.
Boarding now. The knowledge is out there. The wall is actively separating the believers, meaning those who seek the true geography and the true science, from the hypocrites who are perfectly satisfied with the historical illusion.
So the real question for everyone listening is,
are you standing on the duty of peace, the grounded, engineered reality of Jerusalem? Or are you wandering aimlessly in the illusion of the desert? Are you waiting for a wooden boat that simply doesn't exist? Or are you actively preparing to enter the city that does?
wow. It's a question that definitely lingers in your mind. Whether you fully accept Dr. Waleed's grand theory or not, you just can't look at a map of the Middle East the exact same way again after hearing this perspective.
No, you certainly cannot. It permanently turns the map into a schematic.
We want to remind everyone again that all these incredibly mind-bending insights come directly from the deep research of Dr. Khaled Waleed and his channel, The Almighty Covenant. If you want to see the extensive linguistic breakdowns yourself, that is exactly where you need to go.
It's a very deep rabbit hole, but a truly fascinating one.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. It was truly out of this world.
Literally.
Catch you on the next deep dive.